and welcome to the Voices for Victory podcast. I am your new host, Heather Burns, and I am super excited to be here. It's a really special episode, not only because it's my first one, but because we have a really special guest with us here today. Joining us today, we have Tylee Craft, UNC football wide receiver and a junior, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Tylee is also the recipient of the 2022 Disney Spirit Award, which honors its most inspirational figure in college football. Thank you for taking the time to join us today, Tylee.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you're from Sumter, South Carolina, right? Near Columbia? Is that where
Yes,
that is?
ma'am. Yes.
Awesome. So when did you start playing football?
I started playing football when I was 7 years old.
Wow. So like just general little league?
Yes. I started playing like flag football because we didn't have tackle. Well, I wasn't aware of tackle back then. So we just had flag football, and that's when I started off with that.
Very cool. So after flag football, you played middle school, high school?
Yes, so I did flag, and then I did Parks and Rec. It was like 9 and 10-year-old, and that was like the start of my tackle career. And then I started playing middle school and then high school.
Okay. Have you always played wide receiver?
No, I actually started off playing quarterback.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So what made you, I guess, interested in the UNC football program? And, were you recruited or were you just like really interested in playing? Tell us that story.
I was recruited by Coach Mike Brown and Coach Galloway, so they showed a lot of interest in me, and then Coach Galloway was actually cool with my high school coach, so that was already a bond that was there before I even started my recruitment process with them. And then I didn't want to stay in state. I wanted to like venture out and see what was out there. So UNC wasn't too far from home, and then it was in close and like driving distance, so where my family can come up or I can go see them. So it just all worked out, and then it's like perfect weather there most of the time.
Yeah, and then you still got the beach and the mountains. I guess in South Carolina you have the beach, but not so much the mountains, right?
Yes, we got the beach. I used to go to Myrtle Beach all the time, which is like an hour and 45 minutes away.
Yeah, nice. So last year was your sophomore year, and you were diagnosed with stage 4 large cell neuroendocrine carcinoma, which is a rare form of lung cancer. You were diagnosed on March 14th, 2022. Yes, can you tell us about that day? And kind of what led up to that, if you could just kind of tell what led up to that as well.
Okay, so what led up to it was I was experiencing back problems and spasms and tightness and everything in my back, which I thought it was probably lifting weights or something like that, 'cause I was moving heavy weights back then. But it really wasn't from that. So eventually I got scans and stuff. I guess it was like a couple of days before my diagnosis. And then the scans came back that I had cancer. Well, the nurse that was there felt like I had cancer, but he couldn't like physically tell me that. So that's when the doctors came in and like examined everything. So then they diagnosed me like I think a couple of days later. But I don't remember that night still. I just remember I was laying there and my mom woke me up like screaming, and then that's kind of how I found out that I had cancer. Like I wasn't actually awake at the time when they was telling everybody I was asleep.
So they called your mom? No,
they walked into the room and was like,
"Oh, I see you're asleep in the hospital."
Yeah. So yeah, she drove to the hospital that night, and she wound up getting there early in the morning. I want to say it was like 2 or 3 in the morning because it was a late night, so it was kind of a little early. And then I was tired, so I was asleep. And then she just got there, and then one of our trainers that we had at the time was the one who took me to the hospital that night when I was there waiting on my results and everything.
So when you found out, you were kind of shockingly awake, and like, did it hit you all at once, or what kind of emotions were you processing?
Well, my mom was like not screaming, but like kind of shouting like, "Not my baby," and all that. So you know how mothers get. So she was like kind of scared. So I didn't know what was going on. I was just trying to make sure she was okay first. And then eventually they was like, "Ty, you have cancer, this and that." So I was like, okay, well, we just got to do whatever we got to do to move forward.
Yeah. So what immediately changed in your life that day?
What immediately changed? I stopped playing football. So that was an immediate change. I ended up moving out of where I was living to a different location where I had to move in there so my mom can live with me at the time period because I was back and forth to the hospital. So that was another change. And then I stopped taking classes. So I wasn't pretty much stressed or worried about that. And then one of the most significant changes that I like noticed a lot was that I started losing weight, and then I started losing my hair like a couple of weeks down the line after I started treatments.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about your treatment. Did you start treatment immediately?
Okay, so I couldn't start immediately because you got to be like outpatient to do treatment. So I had to be out the hospital first, which I was in the hospital a lot because a lot of stuff was just going on during that time period. So I couldn't, I don't think I started like right away. It was probably like a week or so later because I had to get out the hospital first and it was still tests and everything being done. So eventually, once I got out the hospital, that I started my treatments like right after that.
Okay. So you were at, I assume you're at UNC hospitals. And so tell us a little bit about your team that works with you at UNC Hospital.
It's a great team. They took me in. A lot of them probably was like Carolina fans anyway, so it was just a warm welcome. And then it was crazy because a lot of people, when I was at the hospital, the cancer hospital, walking through there, I probably had like UNC gear on. So a lot of people that was at the hospital getting treatments as well was wondering why a patient was walking through that's 6'5", getting chemo treatments and stuff like that. So a lot of people was speaking, like I could tell people was talking about me, but it wasn't like in a bad way. They was like wondering what was going on. So it's like that's when I finally announced it because I didn't announce yet that I was diagnosed. So once I announced it, a lot of people was just coming in with opening arms and then welcoming me in. And then the team that I was working with, they was just making sure I was always okay, making sure my mom was okay, and making sure we had everything that we had to start our process.
That's awesome. So you had chemotherapy the same time you had immunotherapy. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's really aggressive.
Yes, I was getting the both. I was getting both drugs at the same time, which is the most like aggressive form of chemo and immunotherapy put together. So it was very tough at the beginning.
Yeah, I imagine. So are you still undergoing that treatment, or are you done for a while, or what?
I was taking chemo and immunotherapy at the same time for 2 cycles, which my cycles was every 3 weeks. So I was getting it both times, but then eventually, once they saw that it was shrinkage with the cancer, they just put me on just immunotherapy. It was supposed to last longer, and then I was on immunotherapy for like a couple of cycles, and then eventually it started growing again. So that's when they put me back on chemo. So I was taking just chemo and no more immunotherapy. So now I'm just taking one drug of chemo instead of the two because I feel like the other one is not working as significant as just one in general.
So during your battle with lung cancer, what has inspired you the most during this time?
Probably our chaplain Mitch. He inspired me a lot. A lot of people that has reached out over the course of a time that said they've been battling their form of diseases or cancer, and that they see that I'm still was working out during that time period and still going to meetings and still being involved with the team as much as I was. I just inspired them to do more and not settle for less. So that was just something that I was very appreciative of.
I mean, yeah, it's amazing because I mean, whenever you hear of somebody going through chemo, I'm sure there are days you were so sick you didn't even want to get out of bed. So what motivated you to keep going and to go to those all those meetings? I heard you didn't miss one meeting or one practice. So what really motivated you to do that?
Um, when I say that I had lost like 30 pounds, so I was weighing less than what I came into UNC at. So just to see my body transformation and how I had looked completely different, that literally like it was like an eye opener. Like okay, I got to get back to working out. Like I just wanted to look like myself again, even if I couldn't play football at the moment. I just wanted to look like I was still an athlete and not. So that was one of my main motivations right there.
Yeah, were you able I imagine you were too sick to work out or anything. So were you just kind of like supporting your teammates and kind of like cheering on the sidelines?
Yeah, so I was mostly like, it's crazy because the practices that they had during spring ball that I eventually was able to go to leading up to the spring game, like I really don't remember it because I was on so much of drugs kind of at that time period. But I just remember being there. I just don't remember what happened. So just me just being there around my team and them supporting me and coming up to me during practice and me talking to them. That was just, and it felt like I was back on the team again, like with the team because I was up early as they were up early too, as well in the morning. So just being there just meant more than anything.
Yeah, I'm sure kind of I'm sure your team inspired you and you inspired your team. It's kind of like a having the support of each other. So what kind of support have you gotten from, your family, the community, your coach, your teammates? Like, I hear that your hospital room is always crowded with people.
hmm So I had a lot of support. The coaches' wives have literally been there along the whole journey as well, helping out with my mom as well. So they played a tremendous part in my process as well. So the coaches' wife, the support staff, the players, the community here in Chapel Hill has done an amazing job, and then also my community and family back home and around the other areas up north where my family's mostly from. So just everybody in general just been supporting me, always reaching out, checking in, and doing as much as they could to make sure I'm okay.
So you were mentioning the spring. So we have the spring football game coming up. Is it in April again this year?
Yes, I think it is.
So tell us what I get that was renamed after you, and tell us about that story about how that came about.
Yeah, so they surprised me with it, and then they had stickers like decals to put on the helmets as well. So all of that was like
Oh,
a surprise that I didn't know was going on at first. So just to know that that was happening, and then the spring game was named after me. I was hoping that I could be there, which I was, but the day before I had my port put in, so I had a mini surgery the day before, so I didn't know how I was gonna be feeling, and everybody was wondering
yeah.
if I was gonna be okay to be able to go to the spring game. And it was supposed to be cold, so they didn't want me to get sick or anything during that time period as well. So I felt good enough to go to the game, so I was able to be there, and it was emotional, but it was nice, especially the other kids that was there too. So all of us was being honored on the screen, and the little kids probably didn't know exactly what was going on, but just them being there, and then that's just like an experience they can look at later on down the line that we was all there at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. And you are active with kids with cancer, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So what are you doing in that respect?
So I go to the UNC Children's Hospital. I used to go a lot during when we had games during the season. We would go on Fridays. I would go at like after class and just talk to them and just interact with them. So actually, some of the patients that was at the two of the patients that was at the game, the spring game, they were actually at the hospital one day. So I was able to reconnect with them that time. So that was another memory that we both shared. And then just I'm a part of the LCI, the lung cancer initiative, like awareness thing, White Ribbon Project with Chris Draft. So just being there with him and seeing all these other survivors or people that's battling stuff as well, and knowing that we're all together in this together. So it's like the White Ribbon Project. So I got a white ribbon, and other survivors are people who's been diagnosed or something like that who are still battling. They have a white ribbon too. So just to know that we're all a community that is just trying to bring awareness to everybody. It's a lot, but it's nice to know that everybody is looking out for you.
Yeah. Where are you getting all this energy?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know because I barely sleep, so like I don't know. I'm always energetic. I'm always just trying to do as much as I can throughout the day because like you never know when anything can happen. So I just always live my life like that. Even since the beginning, before I was sick, I just try to enjoy as much as possible.
That's awesome. Great attitude. I imagine that attitude is a huge part of being able to fight cancer and coming out on top. Just like having that positivity is so important, I think.
Yes, I always try to be positive. A lot of people go through a lot of different things that we don't know about. So me being positive can probably influence them to be positive as well. I don't like to be negative. I don't like to really think negative that way because it's pointless kind of. So I always try to be positive and influence others to be positive and happy. As long as I can see them smiling, even though if they probably just doing it just because I am, as long as I can see them smiling and having fun, that's all that matters.
Awesome. So it's a new year, 2023. What are your plans this year? And, when do you think you'll get back on the football field?
So we actually started workouts. They started workouts last week, but I had treatment last week, so I started doing workouts again with them yesterday. So just working out again, trying to gain back my weight and be back fit. Probably start running a little bit more. So just trying to battle in between that and still having treatment. So because I'm still getting chemo treatments right now. So just whenever I'm feeling great, I'm gonna do as much as I can to get back into football shape, and then we just see how it goes from there.
Are you still on sabbatical from school or do you schoolwork?
No, I started taking classes again last summer, the summer session too. So I took summer
Oh,
classes
okay.
in the summer, then I took fall, and now I'm back taking classes again in the spring.
Do you ever get a chance to go back to Sumter?
Yes, I went back. I was home. So I was actually home a lot kind of when I was sick. So I went back home a couple of times when I was sick to see family, but I ended up something always ended up happening when I went back home that was not good, so I had to rush back up to Chapel Hill. So I went home during our break after the bowl game. So I was home for a little while. Went to my high school, went to the high school game that they had. So the love of the community was there, and I was trying to see as much people as possible. So whenever I do go home, I try to see as much people as possible, take pictures, and just see them get whatever gifts they give me, or I try to give back to the community as well.
That's awesome. So, and how's your mom doing? I know I'm a mom, so I know how hard that is to, see your child suffering. Is she doing better? Or are you?
Yeah, she's doing pretty good.
Awesome.
As long as she always checking in, so she'll send me like a thumbs up emoji early in the morning because she'll be up for work. So she'll send me a thumbs up emoji, and I'll send one back to make sure I'm okay. So that's how we kind of communicate on our daily basis. And then she's doing good. As long as she see I'm smiling and like happy, then she knows I'm doing good. If she don't see me smiling and stuff like that, then she knows something wrong.
Is she going to come to UNC and come check on you?
Yeah, she would definitely like she was up here. We were together last week because she always comes up for my treatments, and then we went to Disney this past weekend because because I won the Disney War, so I was out there this
Yeah.
past weekend for a couple of days. So me and her was together for that. So she just went back home Monday.
Wow, what was that like going to Disney? Was it just like a trip, or did you have any events you had to go to?
Nah, it was just a trip. We went Friday morning, and then it was cold. It was cold, but it was a nice experience because that was my first time going. So I went to all the attractions and rode the roller coasters and everything. Tried different food spots. So it was a nice experience since it was my first time going. It was fun.
Nice, very cool. Okay, so what what do you like best about being on a team, like especially your UNC football team? Like, how's that in general? Like, what's it like being in a team, and how does that really benefit you?
I feel like it's the brotherhood that everybody has, the backgrounds that everybody comes from, and obviously high school. I enjoyed my high school years. I loved it because we were always together. Just the memories and always laughing, playing around in the games that we win, and just the enjoyment of everybody. But when you get to college, there's a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, and a lot of different states, communities, environments, races, and everything. So just meeting new people, networking, I feel like that's the best part, and just having fun. That's the main thing. As long as you're having fun, making memories, laughing all the time, that's just the best part of a football team to me.
It's awesome. Yeah. So what advice would you give other young athletes that might be going through their own cancer journey, or even just a battle for their health?
I would just say to have fun. That's always gonna be the main thing. Always have fun, stay positive, because like I said, you never know what can happen. So as long as you're having fun, staying positive, living in the moment, doing whatever you can to accomplish your goals, even though you're probably going through a troubling time period. That's the main thing, and just keep swinging at the end of the day.
So 8 months after nearly losing your life to lung cancer, you were named the recipient of the Disney Spirit Award. What does winning that award mean to you?
It means a lot because that means a lot of people is aware of what's going on, and they took notice of me being an inspiration to others. So just to know that I'm being felt and heard around the world, it means the most.
Were you surprised?
I wasn't expecting. So we was at practice, and usually I wear like a certain type of jersey during practice and stuff like that. So they was like just to take it off because of something that was going on. So I'm like, okay, I wasn't paying no mind, and then eventually Coach Brown like called me up to the front and started talking about the award, and I'm sitting here like I didn't know what it was. So I'm just thinking it's like just a nice award just to get from the team or something like that. And eventually I had to look into what the award meant and what it was and how it was with college football and all of that. So eventually, once I was aware of what it actually was, then I could understand the enjoyment and how everybody was proud of me and everything at that moment.
That's awesome. So we really appreciate you being an ambassador for the V Foundation, and so happy to have you on the team. What does it mean to you to support the V Foundation?
It means a lot just to join another community that's trying to find cures and trying to help people out, knowing that I can help and be an assistance and helping others and bringing awareness to different things that's going on. That's all I'm trying to do. Just make people proud, make people happy, and then bring awareness so they're not in it alone and be like another support system that they can have.
Yeah, and raising funds is so important for for like your treatment, the immunotherapy and the chemo, being able to have these groundbreaking treatments that really help cancer patients. We always ask this of our guests, though. What does victory over cancer mean to you?
Victory over cancer to me is waking up every day, going and doing what you want to do, and not being stopped by your cancer or your disease, whatever you're going through. Just pretty much, if you're waking up every day and you're battling every day, knowing you're going through a troubling time period, that's a victory. Every single day you wake up in the morning, that's a victory to me.
That's awesome. Perfect. All right. Well, I thank you so much for your time. That's all we have for today. And thanks everyone for joining us for our podcast. And we'll see you next time.
See y'all later.